let's get into this. I believe his name is Donald. I don't really know how to pronounce it. I'm just gonna call it Donald IJ. I don't know. Here's the deal. He was banned. We're gonna go through the series of what happened, and I'm gonna tell you right now. Somebody asked me a question, and I want to answer that right now. That question was, why do I care so much about all this drama? And I'm going to answer that right now. The reason I care about this is because this is just another step closer to walking on eggshells simply for existing in society. All right? I understand the claims from people against Donald, right? I understand the claims against him. I understand their frustrations because I've gone through a similar situation. And I know my content and his are different, but fundamentally, it's somewhat the same in the context of the problem. And the problem isn't his content. The problem is the people who poorly assign a negative value to his content, and then they use that to weaponize it. All right? At worst, he's making a little bit of an insensitive joke by changing his face. That's it. That's all you got. And people are weaponizing that joke and being hateful and hurtful. And it is disgusting. And there are people who are doing it. But we also need to do something, and we need to separate what it is. There are people who are going on the core person's video and saying, that's silly, right? They're making like a joke, but it's generally lighthearted. Maybe maybe the person doesn't like it, upsets them, but it is a joke. Then there are people who are being very hateful. And then there are people who are legitimately sending threats and DMs, right? Those are the issues. Those are the outliers. Those are an nth of a percent of followers that do that. Now, me personally, do I think that he could speak out more against it? Sure, absolutely. But that message isn't getting well received when all you're doing is incorrectly calling him transphobic and homophobic. And that's the biggest problem, right? It is. There also is a level of truth to the fact that, listen, this is the internet. Some people, you need to stop being so sensitive. You know, I understand the idea of safe spaces, but this isn't one of them. If you want a safe space, go to Instagram. TikTok, just the way it runs, isn't a safe space. What TikTok doesn't put you in your own sphere like other apps do. Instagram does that. TikTok intentionally tries to get different people to interact with each other. So stop complaining, honestly. So let's get into this. Donald was banned. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm going to keep saying that. He was banned. Here's the picture of it. He got banned. He got mass reported. We're going to go through why, and we're going to go through the specifics. We're going to go through every piece of the interaction. Now, actually, let me mute this. Before we do get into that, quickly, I'm going to need somebody to give me a little bit. Oh, this is his page. I need a little bit of a sound check. So, I believe we're actually we're about equal. This is a good sound.
Anyone else dislike?
That's a good sound check, right? That's a good sound check? It's good, right? Okay, so let's get through it. Now, I can't get the core video from what Donald posted because, you know, he's banned. Not really funny. It's actually very annoying that he's banned. We can't get the original sound, so we're going to use this. So I'm going to explain. It's very simple. We're going to go through this. This is the first interaction I saw from Robert Talapi. So we're going to, obviously, you get everything you need to get out of the background picture here.
Handcuffs, leashes, switch my wig, make him feel like he's cheating, put him on his knees.
So, that's what he's under fire for, right? His facial expression. Very silly to me. Now, I really want to get into this because I made a video defending Donald on this situation. And I want to be very expressive because I misgendered the person. And I want you to be very clear to all you guys. I don't intentionally misgender people. I misgendered that girl. That is a trans woman. I have no problem with that. I validate it. And I had assumed that they were identifying as a man for multiple reasons. I'm going to explain it. For one, Robert calls him homophobic. You would imagine he would call him transphobic if he was having that kind of... If that's what his argument would be, transphobic. That was the one. Two, I looked at their bio. No pronouns listed. Most trans people list their pronouns. I went to their Instagram. Their name on the Instagram was Tyler. I don't know any female Tylers, so I assumed. And lastly, this individual, she was dressed in... She put makeup on that is very heavily associated with gay men and drag. So that's why I assumed. It was my mistake. That's it. I just wanted to make sure that I cleared that up more than anything else. But moving into it, there's a few videos of Donald doing that. Right? He does that. He looks at somebody, he's like, yeah, haha. And then like they show their transition, he's like, what? Now listen, it's a shock factor. It's a joke. It's like, oh my god. And it's shocking. It is shocking. Right? I made a joke in there. This person's not... you know, they're not 18, but they look they're attractive. To me, it's shocking as well. It's like, wow, that's quite a difference, right? whatever. Maybe I'm ignorant, but it's not like the worst thing in the world, right? So let's get into this, now that we've set all that up, get into this full video.
Anyone else dislike this kid?
And I said, no, I don't.
Like, he goes out of his...
Also, you're a kid too, man. Like, come on. That's like condescending language. Like, oh, you don't like this kid? I could do that and it wouldn't be condescending. But even I don't do that because, like, it is condescending. Especially coming from me, I'm an adult. So, like, you know, that's not what, that's, you know.
way to frown at gay people, and when you're like, that...
Right there, you said gay people. Why wouldn't you say trans people? That's a trans woman. Why didn't you look into that, Robert? You're part of the LGBT community. I'm getting crap for misgendering. Nobody's calling him out for misgendering. Come on.
It's homophobic. His fans gaslight the shit out of you, like, why are you so pressed?
By the way, right there, you're going to hear gaslighting. You're going to hear gaslighting a lot. Gaslighting is a trigger word that we like to use to, like, overemphasize a poor point. Gaslighting, and I will look it up specifically for you guys so you know what gaslighting is. This way we can have the formal definition of gaslighting. Manipulate somebody by psychological means into questioning their own sanity. Right?
All he did was
so
frown.
his argument is that, like, this is his argument. This is not just Robert's. It's all everybody who's been having this interaction. Their argument is, he's being super transphobic and homophobic, and then him and his fans are like, no, I'm not. And that's gaslighting. No, I would argue the reverse. I would argue that you're trying to gaslight us by trying to make us feel like Faces was genuine homophobia and transphobia. That's what I would make the argument. I prefer to stay away from gaslighting because I feel it's a very heavy word, but people are throwing it around like it's nothing, which I find rather ridiculous. But if anybody's gaslighting anybody, it's these individuals, not us. I'm just saying.
Don't be shy, Kyle. Explain the joke.
The joke isn't shocking. It's a joke. Listen, people who are not normal, and I say normal not as a criticism because I'm not normal. Right? If any of you watch this, I'm sitting here and my eyes go crazy. I have Tourette's. I'm not normal. People make fun of me. They go, Papa, what's going on with your eyes? You freaking stupid? It's like, whatever. Right? There are abnormalities and people make fun of them, and it's your choice on how you're going to decide to take the criticism or the joke. That's it. It is what it is, man. Just take the criticism. And, you know, you're putting yourself out there in this space, and I know it's supposed to be empowering when you show people your transition, and I think it should be. But, like, listen, this is a public space. Not everybody agrees with everything. I'm sure there are things that you think and say that you don't agree with when it comes to other people, or that people don't agree with you. So, come on. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, it's just an over-exaggeration.
Why did he frown? I'm having a little trouble understanding this.
Handcuffs, leashes.
Yeah, so, that's the core of it. Now, I would like to say that due to due to his content, people do go and attack the people that he duets, all right? And like I said before, I've had a similar interaction. I would like to say, first and foremost, that he removes a duet intentionally to try to reduce that. Like, that's not an accident. He does that to get people to stop, because he's not trying to call for that. If he was trying to call for that, he wouldn't be removing it. That's, like, the first thing I would say. I know in his comments, he's a little bit active about saying, like, hey, don't harass people. Me, personally, do I think he could do more? Sure. Like, I would be nice if he made a video like, hey, guys, you need to fucking stop. That'd be nice. But he's not accountable for it. And there are so many other creators who get people harassed that don't care at all. And so you're expecting him to care about something that you guys don't care about, right? I'm the only one who has toxic followers that calls them out. I'm, like, the only one. And I don't have to do it as much anymore because I've done a good job of being very aggressive. I ban people who are very toxic to other people, but nobody else does. So you're expecting Chris to, and, like, not for nothing. But again, this is rehashing drama covered in the last video. But Mr. Talapi here got a man doxxed and banned off of an app. He incorrectly said that a man kidnapped somebody, which he said that he legitimately kidnapped that person. He heavily suggested it. They ended up getting doxxed. They ended up getting fired from their volunteership at a fire department, right? And they got permanently banned off the app. This isn't the guy to really be starting the signal fire here. I'm just saying, you know, it's very, you know, not exactly a good look, right? So, let's move on to the next video.
There's some of the...
So, this guy, and I wish I recorded it. This guy right here.
If you're...
This is, by the way, baller power move from Donaldge, okay? I wish I recorded it. I went into Donaldge's live, right? And all he did was he turned the live on and he played the exact recording that this person put up on his Instagram. It was very hateful, very negative of Donaldge, and he underplays it in this video so heavily, it's disgusting. But he was incredibly rude and aggressive about him again, for making faces. And then he tried to play a victim complex. It was pathetic. So, let's get into this.
LGBTQ plus on this app, please listen. I just wanted to talk through some of the harassment that I've been dealing with over the last day. It
Over the last day, let's just keep that in mind.
starts with this young creator named Chris. He's a reaction account. He reacts to TikToks, which is fine. But what's been rubbing us the wrong way is that when someone's a boy, he smiles, but when they transition into a girl, he like drops it entirely. Like these twins who transition, they're pre-transition. He's giving them thumbs up, like good for you. And then when they transition, he drops it.
Listen, not for nothing. When I saw those twins that had transition, I was shocked too. I was like, before he even said anything. It was like a week ago. I was like, whoa, that's something. Oofa. It's shocking. It's really shocking, man.
Which, like, what do you think that implies?
It implies that it's shocking, man. Oh, that was a little voice crack. Excuse me, I'm a little too old for that. It implies that it's shocking. I did it again. That's it. It's shocking. It's not as deep as you want it to be. You're forcing depth because people are attacking the people. And again, I understand it. But it's shocking. And if you're going to put yourself out there on the internet, you're going to get some kind of criticism. And it's not even criticism. He's like, oh, that's something. It's not that big of a deal.
It's like, what do you think these reactions imply? His fans were trying to gaslight us into thinking we were trying to be victims or something, but
Gaslighting. Bro, the gaslighting is so stupid. I would apply the gaslighting is such a big, heavy term for you to use in this scenario. If I was going to say somebody's gaslighting anybody, I would say it's the people who are using the word gaslighting and trying to convince us that faces is the equivalent to homophobia and transphobia. You're really reaching out. You're going beyond the common logic. And the entire foundation of your argument stems in the fact of the harassment from fans. 3 million, or 2.5 million of which, and like, what, 30 of them are harassing people? What is that, like a fucking 100th%? I didn't do the math. Of his followers. So he's responsible for the ones that do the worst thing. But the ones just having fun, not doing anything, he's not responsible for them. By your own logic, I would say that since 99.9% of them aren't even saying anything to the people on the video, that he's actually doing a good job, no?
But if I showed you photos of all white people and I was smiling and then changed it to black people and dropped it, like, wouldn't you say I was racist?
No. You want to know why? I'm going to explain to you why this is a stupid comparison, and this is a desperate leap. In the original scenario, the trans, I think they're all trans women. With the trans women, it is them as, I'm not even going to say as a man. I'm going to just say it's them showing as a man, because if they're a trans woman, they're trans women, even if they're not physically a woman. In my opinion, as long as they have gender dysphoria. But you have a person that is male showing, then they cut to a clip of them showing as a female. That's the same person. Right? In your scenario, you're saying that it's a white person and then a black person appears instead. That's not the same situation. You're changing too many variables. If it was the same person transforming to white to black, that would be insane. I would drop my jaw too. I would hope that Chris or Donald would cover that as well, because that's shocking. If a white person transformed into a black person, that'd be fucking insane. That would be crazy. That would be nuts. I would love to see that. I wouldn't be racist. I would be like, holy moly, what technology is that? Right? But you're proposing a totally different scenario. So it's ridiculous. The first one, same person transitioning. The second person, two different people setting up some kind of a weird thing. And honestly, if it was two different people setting that up, it would clearly be a joke, because the black guy was in on it. I mean, come on. I'm just saying. But it would be insane. If anybody can morph from white to black, or really black to white, whatever, that would be nuts. Freaking nuts. I just don't like the comparison, because it really tries to force a narrative.
I would be. So I put an Instagram story up and I made a few mistakes. One, I said he told us to shut the fuck up, which he never did.
So right there, you lied. We're gonna oh, guys, I said this one thing. Don't worry about it. Let's move on. No, what? You told your fans that this young man was actively harassing you, and you lied about it. You lied about him actively harassing you. You effectively slandered his name, and any repercussion you get for that now is your fault, because you lied. You are a liar. You lied. You got caught lying. You lied. You forced a narrative because him just doing this. bothered you so much that you felt the need to lie. That's what you did. So you lied right there.
And 2, I called him a twig.
No, he didn't. I heard the recording. I don't remember specifically what was said, but he was massively, incredibly aggressive to Donald. It was really rude. It was horrible. In fact, you were rude to him based on this false narrative that you presented. So you were completely it was uncalled for, your reaction. It was actually rather pathetic and disgusting. And you didn't actually apologize because you diminished what you did so heavily. So you have no personal accountability, and you're clearly victimizing yourself.
So I apologize for those things.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for making 3% of the video about that. And now we're going to go into the harassment that he got, which is all Donald's fault. Not his own fault for lying and slandering Donald's name and then hitting repercussions for it. It's the young Donald's fault. I hope I'm saying the name right.
But in return, Chris has sent all of his crazy fans my way, sending me death threats, calling me slurs, telling me I'll take...
I got through that intentionally. He didn't send anybody. You sent people after him. You just admitted it. You lied. You weaponized your following base by lying. And then what happened is all he did was show people what you said on his live. And that's the repercussion. Do you deserve to be hit with a slur? Not in a singular capacity. Those messages should be, you're a liar and a loser. But they're not. They're horrible. They're really mean. And that's terrible. But this narrative that he sent them is another... In this video, that's the second time you've already slandered him. 2 times in the video, you slandered him. You lied about him sending people after you, and you lied about him being incredibly rude towards you. So it seems like in your efforts to be rude against him, it backfired on you. The only thing I'll say is you don't deserve to be called any type of slur, but you deserve to be called a loser for this. That's the reality of the situation. And this victim complex, it's pathetic. Honestly. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am. I used to follow the rap page on TikTok on my main because, like, whatever. It was a chill page. I liked it. I unfollowed it because he was on it. Because I find you fundamentally disgusting, pathetic, and I find you to have a victim complex, and I don't respect people who do that. So, just letting you know.
Take responsibility for the things I said, but Chris, will you take responsibility for your followers you
didn't take responsibility for your followers. You underplayed the horrible things that you do.
Cultivated with your content?
Oh, by the way, listen, I'm not playing the victim complex here, but again, I am very active against my hateful followers because I find it disgusting, and I have fun on the app. And I don't like it when people get doxxed or attacked or threatened in any capacity. I've pulled videos down. I've had private conversations with people that I've talked about, and I call out toxic narratives. And I still get so irritated when people weaponize it. It is the only thing that has ever gotten to me on this app, and I'm not even kidding. It genuinely frustrates me when other people get attacked. I don't need to take responsibility for it, but I do to the degree where I want to call it out, and I ban my toxic followers because I don't want people to get harassed. That's what I do. But again, it happens to me. It happens to everybody. You want to say, well, Papa, you deserve it. Well, that's victim blaming. That's very silly. But no, unless you're being actively hateful, you really don't deserve any harassment. But for establishment, you were actively hateful. So, again, you don't deserve any slurs, but to be called like a loser for what you did, lying, which is what you did. You lied. You forced a false narrative. You deserve to be for backlash for that. Nothing bigoted. But just like hey, you're a liar, you're a bad person. That's what you deserve to hear. You're not going to hear that, but that's what you deserve. And now you're trying to say that he should take responsibility for his followers. Listen, there's one person in particular. I actually am friends with this person. It's Ashley Videos. I'm friends with her. We've talked before. Very nice girl, very sweet girl. I enjoyed having conversations with her from time to time. When I was very young on this app, I made a joking video where she was like, "Oh hey, you guys shouldn't be saying we lost another one. We lost a good one when somebody comes out of the closet, comes out as gay." And my joke was, why don't we lose you? That was my joke. Very silly, very benign joke. All of her followers, twinkles, fairies, and themselves to me. Not her fault in the slightest. Toxic followers, sure. But by your own logic, then she's responsible for that. And not for nothing, but none of the messages you got, they were hateful, sure, but none of them were threatening. So, honestly, man, unless it goes to, doxing, you really have nothing. Here's my advice to you guys. If you're the victim of bullying, if you're a victim of cyberbullying, I want to give you guys some really good advice. I want to show you something, all right? I'm going to show you something right now. This is what you do. you gotta do. That's all you have to do. If someone's harassing you on the internet, if someone's harassing you and it's not hateful type of messages that are trying to dox you, walk away. Get up. Turn your computer off. That's all I'm saying. All right? That's all I'm saying, guys. You know? On to the next one, okay? So this is from Goopy. I want to pretext this by saying I like Goopy. I think that of all the responses that we got, I don't agree with his response, but like his was the best delivered. I respect this guy. I think that despite the fact that I disagree with him, anybody who like unfollowed him for speaking his mind, I think that that's the wrong thing to do, because again, while I don't think that he displayed the correct message, he was respectful about it. So I want to be very clear about that. I respect this guy. All right? I just want to be very clear about this. Okay? That's what I wanted to say. So let's get into his video.
I just want to talk about at Don Eli J. Your fan base harasses literally everyone you duet, and you've done nothing about it.
I disagree, because he stopped putting them in the duets, so it will reduce the amount of heat that they get. And then he also does in the comments say like, hey, you should stop. Now, again, I'm going to be very expressive. You guys should be saying, hey, you need to do a little more. Or not even you need to, but say, please, could you do a little bit more? Could you do a little bit more about it? Because it's frustrating, and we know it's not hateful, and we know it's just a joke, but people are taking your message and weaponizing it. And that's something that should offend Donald, is the fact that they're muddying that his followers, his very few followers, are muddying his content by weaponizing it. But nobody says that.
Whenever he gets called out, he uses the argument that he's just making a face. But Chris,
Well, he is.
even though you are being as vaguely homophobic as possible,
No, not vaguely homophobic. Come on. At best, maybe a little bit ignorant. But again, the ignorance stems from a place where, like, he just doesn't, like, it's not a big deal. It's not even ignorant. I don't know, man. It's not even, it's nothing. It's like, oh, that's shocking that you're trans. If you don't think that it's a bit shocking to see somebody that's trans, or even see somebody that's transitioned, then you're living in a weird world. This is very benign. And then people, again, are weaponizing it. That's the problem. But when you call people homophobic and transphobic every time that they make a move that you don't agree with, that's a little ignorant, you're belittling what it is to be transphobic and homophobic, and you're making people not care about transphobia or homophobia, about true transphobia and true homophobia.
you're still being homophobic.
I disagree.
You don't even have to point to the content to tell that you are creating a space for homophobia and transphobia to just be accepted on this app.
There might be an argument there. He might be creating a space by not speaking out enough against it. Sure. Fine. That's fine. That's an okay argument. I'll agree with that. But again, how much of it is his responsibility? And why does nobody talk about it when it's targeted towards people who are more conservative? And I mean, that's not even like, not Donald G isn't even conservative. But in like the space of making jokes that would be considered more conservative, more insensitive, you could say. But when it comes to other people, when it comes to progressives, social progressives, saying horrible things to people, we don't care. Nobody cares. And it's because it's politically correct to pander to particular identity groups. But like, honestly, this is to an extent like a kind of a form of an attack on free speech, man. Like, where do we draw the line? If we're drawing the line at faces, what else are we not allowed to say? Now, because one of the reasons I'm very like it frustrates me is because I have constant conversations with trans people, respectable, fun conversations with trans people, LGBT members, and I have conversations about genders, and I have conversations about what it is and what it means to be trans. And if I can't do that anymore, because if I say something insensitive, then we lost the ability to have social conversations about things, and now that's an attack, that's an infringement on my rights of trying to understand and educate myself on particular things. And I have softened up as I've done it. I can open myself up to an idea of a third gender because I was allowed to have these conversations. When you set the standard that we can't move anything, we can't speak out against the status quo without being labeled transphobic or homophobic, you're attacking my free speech as an individual. And I'm only going to understand your perspective through education, not by constant shaming and trying to shame me into understanding or agreeing with a particular thing. So that's why it's frustrating. Speaking very poorly today, no?
Every time you duet an LGBTQ creator, your fans go to them and leave hate comments, leave harassment, awful things are said to these.
By the way, I want you guys to get to understand. We need to separate this. Harassment is somewhat subjective. Like, what are they saying? Like, you're a boy. I'm sure that's upsetting for trans people to hear. But, like, that's nothing. That's not a big thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between somebody saying, you're weird, or you're a boy still. The difference between that and saying, I'm going to find your address. Very different things. Okay? And I haven't heard, like, a single time where anybody's, like, gotten doxxed off of Donald G's stuff. So, again, part of this is he should speak out against his toxic followers. Part of this is you guys got to toughen up.
These people. That alone should get you to stop. It's basically just a transphobic, homophobic harassment ring.
Come on, man. How many times are you going to use these trigger words just to force, like, a narrative, man? And again, I respect this guy. I just think that his delivery is terrible. You know.
That is like 2.5 million people big.
That's another thing, too. Every time it's like, well, if he had 5,000 followers, this would be fine. It's the number of people, not necessarily the content. That's the thing.
I beg of you, if you follow him because you fell for the whole "it's just a face" thing, please reconsider.
It is just a face. It's a face that's making a social commentary about how it's shocking that somebody is trans. If Donald hated trans people, he wouldn't be making that content. He would stay away from that. He might be young and not understand it. It's fine. But that's not that's not an excuse to get this guy banned off of the app.
I just want to talk about.
So, by the way, guys, don't you worry. We're gonna get to Freak the Gemini, so don't worry.
I know that you.
Oh, so here's the coup de grace here. Here's the one. Is that how we say it? Or would you say like the creme de la creme? I'm not Japanese. Here's the one that sat with me so very poorly. So very, very poorly. And we're gonna get into this one, okay? And Toby, if you're in here, I'm going. This. See, a lot of you, I got some hate for calling out against this, but now that I have the opportunity to sit here and do this in a long form, you're going to understand everything that I said.
You know what you're doing. And I know...
What the hell happened? Is this not his thing?
Hey, Chris.
There we go. Hey, Chris.
We need to talk.
We need to talk.
Listen, man, I know a lot of people are peeved at you right now. And I just wanted to start off by saying, I'm not one of them, but I am disappointed.
Right there, condescending. So what you're going to think I'm digging in this, but I'm not. He said, hey, I'm not upset with you, but I'm disappointed. That's something a parent does to a child. What are you, 3 years older than him, and you think that you're an adult? What the hell's the matter with you? That's condescending. You're trying to make him seem like a child. Right there. Condescending. I'm not upset with you, but I'm disappointed. That's condescending, man. That's condescending.
Because I know that you're smart.
And there you go. I know you're a smart guy, but...
And I know that you know what you're doing.
Right there. So I know you know what you're doing. So like I know that you're implying that he's actively trying to get people put in harm's way to some capacity.
And I know that what you're doing is wrong.
No, it's not. It's not at all. It's not wrong at all. He doesn't know that because it's not true. He's not doing anything wrong. He's doing something that now that everyone else has come out and expressed frustration with him, now that it's safe to hate him, you can come in and weigh in. And you know you're not going to receive backlash, which, by the way, didn't work out too well for you. Right? Because normally it would be an easy target to go after Donald, right? Because he doesn't really speak. That's his whole thing. That's his whole mark. But see, now you have a lot of content creators, myself and Freak the Gemini included, who are frustrated by shit like this. And like to an extent, we understand why we get a little more hate because we have content that has much more depth than Donald is, and that's not a criticism on his content. But now we're seeing it start to pour over. We're seeing it right here. This is like the line of like insensitivity, and Donald's is here. Right? He's like a little over here. Freak and I are over here trying to have constructive or very critical conversations about particular issues. And now we're seeing the scale tip. And you're tipping it more and more towards outrage over very small things. And you didn't expect that. And now you're hitting backlash.
Because you see the thousands of little kid fans that you have.
Right there, condescending. You're saying all those fans are little kids. So are yours. I've seen like YouTube videos with you and Polo Boy in them. It's very immature stuff. I don't care. But your whole content base on there, I believe you're recording it. That's my understanding of it. While Polo Boy goes and him and his friends make a bunch of jokes, like gay jokes about themselves. Which again is fine. It's I don't know if I would necessarily call it funny. I don't think it's unfunny, but like it's insensitive, right? Because what you're doing effectively is saying it's wrong to be gay to some extent, very very benignly. It is what you're doing when you make gay jokes by yourself and record them like, oh, that's gay. Is on the same level of what Donald is doing. The difference is he's getting backlash and you're not for it. I'm just saying, I don't dislike Polo Boy's content. My point is that it's very benign humor, and you're trying to force a narrative. I would say the both are comparable. Do you get what I'm saying? But you're not getting called out for it, man. That's the whole point I'm making, dude. That's it.
Sending death threats and
Listen, I'm not making fun of Polo Boy. I made a point, guys. Chill out. My point is that if he's engaged in content, it's fun. I saw a video. It's just fun, silly college humor that has like a little bit of like gay jokes in it. It's fine. I have no issue with it. But I would say that's the equivalent to what Donald is doing. Very benign humor that's slightly insensitive. And my understanding is Toby is in some of those videos, or he records the video. So how is it that you can exist in that kind of slightly insensitive content, which again I'm fine with, but then call out Donald for this? That's all I'm saying, dude. That's all I'm saying.
hate speech, and you say that you tell them to stop, but have they stopped?
No, clearly. He does say that. What's weird is you're implying that he doesn't say to stop, but he does say to stop.
I don't see them stopping.
Wow, good for you. You don't see them stopping. So if you don't see them stopping, right here I could say, well, you're clearly very much in understanding and agreement that it's his fans, not him, that's the problem. Call out his fans, dude. No, if anybody came to him and it's like, yo, bro, like you should call out your fans, this isn't good, you could do that. That would be fine, but you're not.
So when is it gonna stop? You know that if you took accountability, then everything would be way more chill, right?
See, that's so vague. What's accountability mean? That he should say, oh, it's my fault? It's not his fault. What accountability does he need to take? He doesn't need to take accountability. And you're telling him to just stop making that particular content. You're asking him to just completely stop making because you find it insensitive. But it's not a big deal. Oh, no, you don't. Excuse me. You don't find it insensitive. You don't care. You're just happy that you could finally jump on something for some clout. You have no emotional or investment into this scenario. You just like to virtue signal.
But you don't. You just keep going. Yeah. Why, man? What's the point?
I just explained it. It's some people find the content humorous. I find it a little funny, you know?
Everyone's just way more unhappy. But
not everybody. Just like 5 people that are complaining about it. Honestly, it's like 3% of the people who interact with Donald's videos are like upset about what he's doing. And you've now said that to everybody.
You know something, Chris? You're not the only one that's guilty of this. I feel like there's a growing number of people that think the only way that something can be funny is if half of us laugh and half of us cry.
Wow. You know what's really interesting, Toby? Where am I there? Why am I missing? My content can be equated to some degree with Nick Foster and Freak the Gemini. Why am I not there? And I am a bigger creator than either of them. So either you look at my content and you have such a deep level of involvement with it and an understanding with it that you're like love it, or you intentionally left me out because you were afraid of this. By the way, that picture from Nick Foster, what he says is like 4 years old. Why that one? He looks handsome in there.
Why don't we all just laugh, huh?
The jokes, who cares? So well, Freak doesn't make jokes. Nick Foster makes jokes. I'm very expressive about it. I'm not a fan of all Nick Foster's jokes. Some of them are too much. I talked to him in person, on live stream. We had a nice conversation. I told him that it was a little intense and I don't like a lot of it. But it's okay. We're adults. But they're jokes. And he's toned them down a lot now that he's new account. And then he has I found some of his humor before that funny. But like, all jokes have a victim, right? So come on.
Listen, guys, we keep fighting on this app.
And I would say again, if somebody went to Nick Foster originally and said, "Hey man, these are a little much. Like your content's fine, but these are a little much," he might have actually been like, "Oh, good point. Maybe I'll change it a little bit or chill a little bit." Nobody did that. You're doing the same thing to Donald G that you did to Nick Foster, which is you just kept saying, "No, you're a horrible, terrible person. You should die." That's what people will tell Nick Foster. And then you expect him to change and not get worse. That's what people do. They get more. If you're going to effectively call for a war against an individual, they're going to probably fight back, even if it's subtextual.
And every time I see it, I feel glum, melancholy even.
Wow. Then you are a weak person. If you feel upset by these jokes, then you're pathetic. I don't think you feel upset by these jokes. See, here's the thing. When Goopy made his video, he's such a genuine guy. If he said what you're saying, I would believe it. But you don't feel anything about anything, bro. I'm going to be honest with you and what your content is. I just want to be very honest with the way I read you. Your content is basically making fun of like that rich, douchey college kid that grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. And I feel like that's you making fun of your own self. So I don't see you as like a genuine guy. And maybe I'm wrong. Papa's wrong sometimes, but come on. You're not a genuine guy, man. You're not.
Because when I see someone upset, I feel bad.
Wow, that's good.
And all I'm saying is that, Chris, I think you could take a page out of my book.
So that was really a dick thing. What he just said is, Chris, you don't care about other people. That's what he said. What he said was like, hey, I feel bad when somebody feels bad. Chris, you don't do that, so why don't you learn to be empathetic? Empathetic towards what? Again, where were you when this drama first started? You're just jumping in. You're just bandwagoning, dude. You have no depth of thought here. You're just bandwagoning. You're saying the same thing everyone else is saying, except in an incredibly condescending way, and you know that you have no personal attachment to it, so this is completely unjustifiable. Everyone else has... I have personal attachment in trying to help Donald because I feel like I've been targeted by similar situations where you make particular content that's not hateful and then people weaponize it. So that's why I'm so active here. You're not. Unless you're closeted gay, which is fine. That's fine, but I doubt it. I read you as like a selfish guy who's just trying to ride a trend. And you want to sound like the good guy. Cool.
Thank you for your time. Hey,
Yeah, well, I would like my time back. You're not welcome. So now of course my friend Freak the Gemini. My friend Freak the Gemini here. Listen, I like Freak. I had a nice time sitting down with him in a podcast one time. Freak, you know, I try to do very specific constructive criticism on things, and I think Freak does that too. But Freak is much more go for the throat than I am. And this video is rather entertaining. So I really recommended that you didn't tag him in your video, but you did. That was probably your biggest mistake, honestly. That was a big mistake. So here we go. So it says Toberitz. Is that how you say it? Isn't this you encouraging people to bully someone for not being alt? Now, this isn't over the specific situation, but it seems to suggest that he is trying to weaponize his fan base, call out the same thing that you called Donald G out for.
Hey, Goofy, I got one question for you. Ain't this you?
So it's him saying, y'all know what to do with a face. Guys, see, here's the problem. Toby, you're saying you'd all know what to do, and you're putting a face there. That's at least the equivalent of what Donald G does, right? Donald G, right? Makes a face. You know what to do, except he doesn't say that. He doesn't say anything. He just changes his face. You saying, y'all know what to do. What does that mean, Toby? What does that mean? Does that mean that you're going to donate $1 to their Cash App so they can have a nice dinner? Or does that mean you should harass this person because it's politically correct to do so, and I feel safe calling them out for something? Which one is that, Toby? Which one is that? I don't know. If I was a learned man, I'd say you're a fucking dickheaded hypocrite. That's what I'd say. But I'm really dumb, right? So what do I know?
Telling your fans to go harass somebody? Ain't this your fans agreeing? Huh?
Well, it looks like they're using that weird cat emoji in some form of agreement.
They literally get the cat emojis and bark, woof, woof thing from you. Ain't
Oh, it looked like you called somebody out for saying Trump 2020. So there, like what I was saying, I was right. Because it's politically correct to hate Trump and Trump supporters, you feel comfortable virtue signaling and going, attack this Trump supporter. Ah! You didn't make a nice video about the complexities of Donald Trump or the ways in which you don't feel that he is a very good leader. You didn't do that. You said, hey, attack this guy for liking Donald Trump. Which to me speaks to a much deeper thing. Listen, I'm not a particular fan of Donald Trump, but I understand why people voted for him. See, we all live in a thing called a country, and a country is also a thing called a society. We live in a particular society. Do not Joker meme me, okay? And in this society, we have multitudes of different people that live in different bubbles, and they all have different problems and issues. People who voted for Trump felt like he was emboldening the middle class, okay? And at the very least, in 2016, he was the only one really talking about it. Now, again, not a particular Trump fan, but I understand why people vote for Trump, because they're people, not because they're racist. Okay, it's because there are people who are middle-class Americans who feel like they're being drained, and they feel very disenfranchised, they don't know where to look, and they look to Trump. That's it. Just people trying to solve their problems. But, to you, that's not okay. We need to make sure that we respect people for their differences as long as it's politically correct to do so and safe to do so. Because if it's not safe to support that person, go after him, guys. Right?
This you telling your fans keep going and harassing somebody? This you literally encouraging your fans to go harass that person, bro. You made one video about Bryce Hall and think you God now.
I don't know what the hell that he's talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, Free, but
Don't put us in no video again spreading false information when you do 10 times worse than what you claim we do.
listen, man, all I'm gonna say, Toby, was I don't know. I know why you went after Donald, because he really isn't going to defend himself. But I mean, you have to be a pretty unintelligent guy to go after, specifically Freaked Gemini. You're silly. You're a silly young boy. Look at that. It's condescending, kid. You silly kid, just like you did before. Isn't that funny? I'm so funny.
Say that you tell them.
All right, so this is a round 2 from Freak.
Kid fan.
It says, watch the whole video. Don't spread false information on him, Donald G, Nick, or himself.
That you have sending death threats and hate speech, and you say that you tell them to stop, but have they stopped? I don't see them stopping. Next time, keep it to yourself.
Hey, Goofy, you see how you hypocrite? After you made that video, your little alt girlfriend started harassing his whole. You talk about.
By his own logic, Toby's in the wrong, because all it takes is you to make some content, and if somebody weaponizes your message, even if it's not the message you're trying to spread, it's your fault, Toby. So why is your walk back on this?
Our fans, but at least our fans don't send emails to kids' schools trying to ruin their life.
Wow, look at that. See, that's a pretty heavy thing. See, ruining somebody. I want you guys to understand something here, right? And I'm going to explain to you, this happens all the time. When you falsely get somebody canceled, you falsely ruin their life opportunities and get them canceled over something benign. So in Chris's situation, he'll be fine. I'm pretty sure he's going to get his account back. But in Chris's situation, this is what happens to normal people, not somebody who has the ability to bounce back. Right? Let's say you're a 15-year-old boy and you get canceled by Sky Jackson, right? For saying something that, of course, very ignorant, right? Saying the N-word with a soft A, a year ago when you're like 12. What happens is when you get canceled for being racist when you're not racist, just like if you get canceled for being homophobic when you're not homophobic, you ruin somebody's life and you put them in a trajectory of failure. All you're doing is you're basically going to manufacture that bigotry in that person. If Donald does get canceled for being homophobic, even though he's not homophobic in any capacity, he's going to start to become homophobic because weaponization of the LGBT community is what ruined his life. You're not helping. You're being divisive. It's pathetic. Now listen, you could say, Papa, LGBT people have more frustrations to deal with. Sure, I understand. It's easier for me as a guy like myself to just be like, yeah, you have to be the better person. Part of that's socially from what I learned. Part of it's because I'm not a marginalized group. In any way in which I may be marginalized, I could hide very easily, and I don't really put a lot of value into it. But, the people nowadays, LGBT members nowadays, the kids on this app specifically are not the kids that are having these issues, right? Most of it is there's a very select few people on TikTok, in any identity group, who have a particular issue, right? Who are legitimately targeted for their identity, right? It's very small, very few people. And they speak very loud and very angrily and understandably, though it does promote a poor message. And then young little kids who identify with the groups, they weaponize that message despite the fact that they haven't faced that type of marginalization. Okay? That's what TikTok's full of. The fact that you don't understand that is your issue with lack of understanding or lack of depth when it comes to social issues. Very easily could have come to Papa Gut, because that's what I talk about. Right? But you don't have an understanding of that. You don't understand any of that. Right? You're just riding a wave.
And you notice the alt girls could look, of course he's white and straight. You telling us
I know it's silly, but like that's the thing. Like there is a narrative nowadays that's like trying to oppress the oppressor. Now, I'm not a victim for being a white guy. I'm not. But on TikTok specifically, there is a narrative that's trying to oppress like straight white cisgender men. They're trying to reverse the hatred. It's kind of working, specifically in the fact that it's socially acceptable to like hate straight white cis men in any situation. It's okay to do that. So they're really trying to reverse the oppression here. Okay, again, not a victim. But I speak out against it because that's not a world to live in. That's not a world of equality.
Let's control our fans. Well, you ain't even got no control over your own fans yourself, Goofy. You say my...
The Goofy thing is it's sending me. The Goofy, it's fucking ridiculous.
aggressive natures is what caused my fans to act this way. You literally talk like a honey cream pie, and yet your fans still harassing people. You Joe Rogan number 2, bro.
Oh, the Joe Rogan number 2 thing, man. Like the Joe Rogan number 2 thing, that really got me. That's just a... But you know what? Here's the thing. I disagree with a lot of what Joe Rogan says, or rather the way he goes about it. There's things I have issues with Joe Rogan on, and like you could find that content, and you know. But like Joe Rogan is genuine. So like, saying that Toby is Joe Rogan number 2 is an insult to Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan at least is a genuine guy. He's not. This guy's not a genuine guy. Toby's not a genuine guy. We're not canceling Joe Rogan. So yeah, that's everything about Donald G getting banned unjustifiably, and it's pathetic. That's what I had to say. You guys are sending me a lot of things.
Papa got to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.